Hello, guys. Welcome to Sinful Shisha Podcast, episode number three. Today we have Cloudsinthe6ix, an international influencer for us. So we'll get to know him through this podcast. So, Param, Cloudsinthe6ix, how are you doing today? And let me know, let the audience know what are you smoking right now. We'll start with that first.
Sounds good. Sounds good. Thank you for having me. I'm very happy to be here. Uh, I am smoking cashmere peach with lemon lime and Eric's mango, all from Tangiers. And the setup is my hoop sub atom with my mason gravel.
Oh, that's nice. So, as far as I know, I've been following you since I guess 6, 7 months, 8 months. Because Sinful Shisha I've started like a year ago. It has been one total year this January. So, I've seen you using Hoops of Atom a lot. Like almost
Mhm.
that's like a daily driver for you.
Yep.
Is it your favorite hookah?
Yes, I would say hands down probably my favorite. It's because when I sit at this desk, obviously I have this like huge shelf here, so I have to be mindful of the tabletops that I put, and I have carpeted floors. And everyone knows when you have carpet on the floor, you don't want to put a hook on the ground. All it takes is one time mistake, and it's a lifetime regret. But the
True.
sub atom, because of its size, it sits perfectly on the desk. I love the draw. I love the practicality. I've always been a sucker for practicality when I came into this hobby. People like having a huge collection. For me, it's always been whether it be bowls or hookahs, anything really. I like having it serve a function. So when people have like three or four pipes that are all open draw, for me that doesn't really make sense unless there's something specific about the aesthetic about it. So for me personally, when I the sub atom, this is my second one that I've owned, and probably my hands down my favorite one that I've of all the ones I've used. Yeah. So personally, big fan of the sub atom. I'm a big fan of the Hoob brand as a whole. I think they make phenomenal pipes. So yeah.
So, what all hookahs do you have apart from Subatom, if I may ask?
So I have. Well, I started this journey with the
Yeah,
shisha
let's
bucks.
go back, from where you started it.
Yeah. So I started with the shisha bucks. This is June, around May or June of 2020. Pandemic starts. Can't go to lounges with your friends anymore. And I was looking for something that would be practical to travel with. And the Shisha Bucks made the most sense because everything collapses into it. It comes in a carrying case. Um, it just checked all the boxes again with the practicality side of things. And with that, eventually got the Union Sleek comic series, the Joker one. I really enjoyed that. I liked the draw, but the problem was it was too big to put on this desk. The bowl would be resting like right here, so it would be the coals would touch, will almost be touching. The heat would be reflecting, and I was like, I can't have that. So I gifted that to a friend, and I bought the sub atom. From there, I was hooked on the sub atom. I had the silver one originally, which I still have, and then I won an Instagram giveaway for the Viro Penta. Uh, it had a matte black base, so for me, I hated having to measure my water. I like just pouring and seeing, and kalas, that's it.
I,
It's
I
done.
just I just did the same with this base as well. This is Neolux
Yeah.
Gray, and I can understand what you're talking about.
So from the Penta, I got last year. My best friend gifted me the Aeon Lounge Mini Neo, and Kasum or Kaka's Hookah. He gifted me a Viro Spectre. So for the first time, I had too many pipes. As I've wanted another one, I've sold one and then got the next one. At this point, I had three. I also had the black sub atom now. So I have three pipes, and I was like, I don't use like this is at home, and then I need one for travel. That is it. So I leave the Viro Spectre at a friend's house, and the Aeon Lounge Mini Neo. That is my travel one. The reason I don't take the sub atom for traveling is it doesn't have a tray, and sometimes you're not in an area where you can put it on a table, right? So if I have to
Agreed.
put something on the ground, I can put the Aeon on the ground, and I'm not too stressed about it. But even with the sub atom lack of tray, you just take one of these small trays, and
Okay.
you can just place it underneath the bowl. So I could put a tray there, but it's just too much of a hassle. So I prefer to carry
Also,
around the Aeon.
also it
But
looks ugly.
yeah, it just ruins the aesthetic for me. Like this is such a pretty aesthetic for me. So, um, And everyone loves aesthetics in hookah. It's all about the aesthetics.
True. In fact, recently I've got my hands on a subatom. One of my friends was traveling, so I just asked him to get one for me. And man, I'm totally in love with it. It just smokes like a big sized hookah in a very small
Yeah,
form factor, and I totally love the draw of it.
I think what's super interesting, if you look at other tabletops, whether it's the Emotion Roll or the Viral One, which is very popular, the Subatom, it's so user friendly. You can play with the water level. You can put it right above the diffuser, the first line, the second line. Now, people will say their biggest negative point is that water gets into the hose. It's a small hookah, and if you're obviously aggressively inhaling, there's going to be condensation that's going to build up. Doesn't matter what pipe you use. You'll if you pull it hard enough, you will eventually get condensation to build up in the. But even that is easy to remove. The other negative is the magnetic port. The magnets, they're very prone to rusting. Pro tip for anyone who has subatom is, if you not nail polish remover but clear nail polish, if you put that over the magnets, that helps slow down the rusting.
Oh, thanks for that.
So not nail polish remover, just the clear nail polish. It
Okay.
just adds like a little bit of a coating to it.
But will
Um,
it also add the smell?
you're putting it on the outside of the base. You know the four squares on the outside
Okay.
where the lid connects.
Okay.
So
Okay. Okay.
you
Okay.
won't
Got
impact.
it.
You're not putting it anywhere else. You're just putting it on the outside of the base. So you won't get the smell or any of that. And if you let it dry properly, you'll be fine.
And what about the inside part, inside magnet, wherein the
Where the
hose
hose port
connects?
goes.
Yeah, hose port.
So when you buy your sub atom, that comes with a replacement piece. That piece is, you can, if you take the end piece of this, the hose, and you put that in the sub atom and you twist it, it starts to unscrew.
Yeah. Yeah.
So you can remove it and replace that.
Yes.
So it's magnetic. It's not stainless steel. It's obviously bound to rust. But in all honesty, every time I use it, after I'm done my session, I dry it out properly. I take one of those air canisters, like the electric air canister, and just blow it out, or microfiber towel, and dry it out. Problem solved.
I'm using this because I mean I'm a photographer as well, so I use this kit for yeah. So yeah, I just blow the
Yeah,
excess water off the all the holes in the hookah.
exactly. It's any magnetic pipe. Doesn't matter if it's a subatom, whatever it is. You have to dry them properly. Some, if it's stainless steel, yeah, you can leave it to rest and let it dry naturally, but then you end up getting the dry water speckles anyways. So it's just better to, as you after each session, rinse it out, dry it off properly, put it away. Now, obviously, I feel like a lot of people just tend to get lazy with it. And they're like, I'm just going to leave it. But this is not one of those pipes where you want to leave water in it, and that goes for any pipe actually. You just never want to leave water in it overnight or anything like that.
True, that's very true. Okay, moving on. I would like to know how did you get into hookah and influencing?
Okay. So in I live in Ontario, Canada, and 2013, 14, all my friends, 15, all my friends are coming back from universities, and hookah had blown up at that time here. It's been around for a very long time in Canada, but obviously my friends are gone to university and so on and so forth. So when they came back, everyone was smoking hookah. Everyone's going to the local lounges, so on and so forth. So there was a time where I used to go with my friends to hookah lounges, but I didn't smoke at that time. So I would go there and I'd order chicken wings and a mango lassi, and I was like, I'm happy. This is it. And we'll play card games and all that, and uh, carom, and we'll play what's that other game called, the Ludo. We would play
Oh,
Ludo.
Ludo. Okay, yeah.
Yeah, which is very popular in lounges here. Every lounge has Ludo here,
Oh,
and it's, I don't know, it's just super popular here. So a few years later, me and my best friend, we his warehouse used to be near a local lounge called Massage, and I would meet him there after work, because it opened at 5 and they had 5G Wi-Fi. So we would go there, and I would hop off the train from downtown, and it's like a 5-minute drive, and we would go there, and he would get a hookah, and we'd have our laptops, and we'd just continue working whatever leftover work we had for the day. And it was quiet at that time because it just opened, like the lounge had just opened up. So one day I was chilling with him, and I'm like, you know what, man, I feel like I want to try this. And this is KM, the old, the brown Egyptian bowl with quick lights, and he was smoking lemon mint. And I was
okay.
like, you know what, let me try this. And I tried it, and I'm like, oh, it's not bad. And slowly it was cheaper to share at that time. A hookah was like $12 Canadian to
Oh.
like for a bowl. Fries were $6, so we would split everything. So it was like $3 and $6. I'm like, this is cheaper than going to $9 for like 2 hours of like enjoyment without having to go to Starbucks. Sign me up. And from there, it was all downhill. Like eventually, I started getting. We would share one, and then eventually, I started getting my own. And then I would be spending hours there, and we would be there like almost every day after work. Every day we would be there, bring our laptops, do 2 hours of work, get a head change, and then our friends start showing up or whoever starts showing up. And you go there enough, you start to, the regulars become your friends. You start saying what's up to people, hang out with people. So the first 2 hours, enjoy, do my work, have a bowl, then get a head change, and then I would ask them like, I'm gonna go sit with my friends, move my hookah with me, and I would be there from like 6 o'clock till like 1 a.m.
Oh,
almost every
damn.
day. I at that point I didn't own a hookah, but only a few of my friends did. We would always just go to a lounge, so it was easier that way. Um, and then in the pandemic, that's when I, like I said earlier, that's when I first got my own hookah.
That's nice. Very, very
Yeah.
interesting story. Yeah. So, what made you like start the Instagram page? Influencing hookah, talking about hookah, and making stuff content about hookah.
Honestly, just cultural and family. Didn't want to have to deal with any of the drama and stuff like that of like, smoking and things like that. So it's also like with drinking, you don't want to publicly, you don't overly post it like, oh, cheat shots, this, that. So it's to separate. The biggest reason was I wanted to enter giveaways, raffles and stuff. And every time they said post to your stories, not everyone knew that I was smoking hookah. So I didn't want to put it on blast like that. I want to put it publicly. So I was just like, you know what? Like, let me just create a separate Instagram page. I had no intentions of ever posting or anything like that. I didn't care for it. I made it solely for the purpose of entering raffles and giveaways. That was it.
Okay.
And
Well,
I went to, I through that I started like, I found Sarkis's Facebook page, Hookah Unlimited. Started meeting people through that. Found some other local Canadian people, Jay Smokes, Phenom, Jinx Hookah, and also discovered Moa Smokes on YouTube and watching his video because he had the first video I watched of his was a Shisha Bucks one to like get
okay.
his. At that time, I didn't know which pipe I wanted to buy, so I went on YouTube to check, and there was DMZ TV Dutch and Moa Smokes. These guys were all posting videos about it, and Mojo Hookah Lounge in
Mojo hookah,
LA.
yeah.
Those they were all posting, and I would just watch their videos on different pipes, bowls, pack methods, this, that. Uh, I was obsessed. As soon as I found something like that community, I just kind of became obsessed with it. And then on Instagram, I slowly added people, started following people, and then I started doing Instagram lives with people. Just randomly hop on an Instagram live with some friends, and I went a whole year without posting anything, and I had like 300 followers. I'm like, how the heck do like people were following me simply because of the Instagram lives, just like because of the personality on the lives and stuff. So
Yeah.
I would post my stories, but I never posted anything. And then eventually, I decided to post something on Instagram, and it did pretty well. I used iMovie, and I was just like, "This is great." I wanted that one transition to fade from black and fade in from black, and I had no way to do it on my phone, so I was like, "Okay, I'll use iMovie." So it took me 20 minutes to make the video, and I put it on iMovie and edited it, put it on Instagram, and the rest is kind of history.
That's wonderful, bro. Very
Yeah,
interesting
and
story you got.
it's interesting because when I think back to first discovering Hookah Unlimited, all the people through that, then finding those people on Instagram, obviously being able to DM people if you have questions, how did I pack this correctly, or what are your thoughts on mixing? All the basic, more very common questions that you get asked. Um, I was able to and ask people, and they were able to give me straightforward responses right then and there. And I think that's just one of the phenomenal things about the community as a
Community,
whole is
yes.
you can message. No one's too big to message. You can message almost anyone, and more often than not, you'll get a question. And now, post pandemic, a few years post pandemic, there's so many resources available. Facebook groups, Discord, YouTube, Reddit. Like there's so many options.
All right, that's nice. So let's move on. I would like to know, what is your go-to setup? What is like, I know you have told that you use Subatom on your daily basis, but what about the HMDs?
Provost. Provost is my kind of go-to, especially when it comes to dark leaf. It's just something I'm comfortable with. It's easy for me to manage the heat. Um, the primary two that I use is the Lotus One Plus and the Provost. I have the Lotus 3. I have the Onmo, the Mosaic, the Bodo. I have a variety, and
Okay.
I've tried them. For me, I love something that has a lid. I feel like whether it's more again practical. If I'm outdoors, indoors, I like having a lid. I hate wasting coals and flavor. So for me, even though like they're not that expensive or whatever, it's a feeling of wasting. Like I don't even like lighting three coals. That to me is I feel like I'm wasting a whole coal. So
I get your point because even I incline towards the same mentality. For me,
yeah,
lighting up third coal is a pain in the ass. And yeah, even I prefer HMDs which comes with lid.
exactly. And with the third coal, it's essentially there to help heat up the bowl or the HMD faster, right? But if you put the lid on and you blow into it, like the coals will heat up, you'll be fine. You just give it 5 minutes. This golden rule is give it 5 minutes and you'll be fine, But people don't want to wait 5 minutes and they're willing to light another
But
coal.
again, there's another theory which says as soon as you put on the coals, you start pulling so that the heat gets evenly spread in the bowl till the bottom
Yeah,
of the bowl, and then it cooks properly. So there are like two ways. So what is your take on that?
I think there is no definitive answer because everyone's style of smoking is different. Some people pull very aggressively, and what you can do is end up charring the top. Some people are very slow smokers, so they inhale very slowly, so it works its way up. I firmly believe that if you give it 5 minutes and you let the bowl naturally warm up, because the whole point is you want to bake everything evenly, right? You can't rush that process.
True.
You can try, but you won't always have consistency. Versus if you pack at the right density and you use the right heat management and you understand what is the heat tolerance of that brand that you're using. Uh, if you understand those tiny nuances, everything else becomes a little bit simpler. So for me personally, I use 26s coals, two of them. I put that on it. I don't even put the lid down on the Provost to let it heat up. I tilt the lid from the get go. Just
Okay.
tilt it and leave it 5 minutes, and then I'll start pulling. I'll touch the bottom of the bowl, like right over there, and I'll be like, oh, you know what? It's hot to the touch. I'll start. If I don't want to keep track of time, then I'll just go by feel. Obviously, if I
Okay.
do one pull and I feel like it's not there yet, be patient. It's not something that I'm not in a rush. When you that's the whole this whole activity, this whole thing is something to kill time. So slow it down and enjoy it. Make notes of it, and you'll be fine. But I don't agree with. It's not that I don't agree with it. I think to each their own. That's the one thing about hookah in general. There's a million different ways to do one thing. Water levels, heat
Yeah.
management. It's all preference.
Yeah. Like there's so many permutations and combinations of making a hookah and enjoying a hookah that there's no one definite thing about it, and that's when
Yep.
so many theories also comes into the place, and so many people do like crazy brainstorming sessions as well, uh,
Mm-hmm.
and talk about one particular subject, like let's say
Yep.
packing a ball. There are like 100 ways of packing a ball, but again it comes down to your preference. So
Yes.
that's one
It's.
amazing thing which I find about hookahs, because uh,
Mm-hmm.
personally I like observing things. I observe a lot.
Mm-hmm.
So this process basically attracted me like that, because
Yeah,
I
I agree.
observe things. So I'm like, okay, if I'm changing this, it is affecting this much.
Yeah, it's taking notes, right? Even when I first started, from weighing the flavor to, watching videos. Even if I packed a bowl, something I used to do when I first started out is if I packed a bowl, I would take a video of it and then obviously start a timer, make a note of when I flip the coals or when I change the coals, and time it from there. And you get notes, and then having the video of how you pack gives you something to reference later. Because sometimes you're not paying attention, you pack a phenomenal bowl, and you're like, "How did I do that? What was different about this one than the last
Yeah.
one?" And having those videos really help. Having physical notes helps. Setting a timer. These are all cliches, but they work. Just so you have something to reference back later. And as you it all the basic principle about smoking, especially when you become an enthusiast, is experimenting. So you not just experimenting with mixes and flavors, but setups and heat and different brand of coals or HMDs, whatever it may be. There was for a long time people were having conversation around should the Lotus nubs touch the
Yeah.
flavor or should it not? And there's any product, there is no definitive do this, don't do that. play around with it. And when you have the patience to play around with it, you are setting yourself up for success to have better sessions, because then you will learn the ins and outs.
Totally true. Totally agreed with whatever you have told. Because even now, I feel people are still confused whether to touch the knobs of the Cloud Lotus to the flavor or not. So
Yeah.
yeah, that makes
And some of
totally
the
sense.
brand owners, they're not aware fully of themselves. Like the Provost was never meant to be a standalone HMD, right? It was attached with the apple on top bowl.
Correct.
Eventually, so I believe it was Sarkis who put the foil on and tried it, and even the Mosaic, or there's Dragonfly Mike who likes to smoke the Lotus 3 using it as a Provost with foil.
Yeah,
And again, but that's, you have to understand your preference, your style, and then you take all these products and you play around with them to enhance it, to play to your preference.
that's what makes hookah amazing.
It's very personable, and you can share that experience, right? So when I got into it and all my friends are just throwing flavor and like sprinkling it in, versus me, I'm there with a scale measuring everything. They go like, "Why are you sprinkling?" I'm playing around with a poker. They're like, "Oh my god, you're putting so much time and effort into it." I'm like, "Just watch." And the ultimate goal was, how do I get the longest session, the most efficient session, with the least amount of flavor being used, like maximizing the flavor, right? Not the least amount, but how to maximize it.
Maximize
So
it.
when
Yeah.
you, and that comes to the pack methods and understanding what is a preferable way to pack something. There is no definitive like you have to fluff this. You can pack it however you want, but there is an optimal way, and the only reason I say that is through trial and error, right? So when you fluff pack, and again, there's different terms, but when you fluff up alfalfa and you have that, because the leaves are bigger and you let the airflow go, it bakes towards the bottom. Tangiers is very fine, so you can dense that down. And even the owners of these brands, they have a preference of how they do their testing, to test like, is it quality control there and everything like that. We don't know how they're packing. We're trusting other people's opinion. So
Correct.
I always say, you can take the information from the internet, but it's really up to you to choose what is applicable to you. You don't have to follow everything you read online to a T. Take it, process it, see if it makes sense for you, and practice it.
That's nice. I hope many the viewers of this podcast get so many tips from this particular podcast, because you're speaking from experience is what I can see,
Yep.
and
I'm new, right? I only started a little over 2 years ago. Like at that time, there was a time where I said I would never touch dark leaf. There was a time
okay.
I'm like, I'm never gonna smoke dark. Now 99% of the bowls I have are must have or Tangiers or dark
I know.
leaf.
Once you go dark, there's no going back. In fact, I mean, yeah, there is a way to go back, but you enjoy. I mean, I personally have started smoking dark very recently, like not even six
Mm-hmm.
months ago, and I find dark leaf to be like more accurate in terms of flavor, especially mustard.
Mm-hmm.
Like it is bang on all the time, and uh, like couple of days ago, I was thinking that okay, let me give a pause to dark and try smoking blonde as well to see how it is, and because I was so used to with the dark, and then I packed blonde and that was good, but again
Mm-hmm.
I was kind of still missing out on the feel of the dark leaf.
Yeah, and I think I often get questions from people messaging me directly on Instagram asking, how do you do that transition, so on and so forth. There are things along that line, and I've always said, well, if you're used to blonde, there's nothing wrong with blonde. If you're enjoying it, enjoy it. You don't have to smoke dark. If you want enjoying blonde, enjoy. But if you want to experiment, then start mixing a little bit into your blonde bowl, right? So if you're packing alfalfa or trifecta, and brands like trifecta, they have a dark line. So you can get like trifecta lemon pie, which is dark, mix that with blonde peppermint shake, and slowly add more and more and see what your tolerance is. For some people, they can't handle dark, and that's
Yeah.
fine. Don't worry about it. Work your way into it if you want to work into it. You're not missing out on a whole world. Like people make it seem like, oh my god, it's the greatest thing on the planet Earth. But like, there's people who enjoy blonde, and that's where they want to stay, and that's
Yeah.
fine. Be comfortable. Your bowl, your rules. Enjoy it, but work transition slowly. I remember the first time I had to pack Tangiers. I got Tangiers, and I've only heard horror stories of everyone's first time smoking Tangiers. It's so scary, so
Yeah.
daunting, so intimidating. One day I got it and I had the Ola Ade bowl, the ADE bowl, and I messaged Mythic Clouds and I told him, hey, I need you to hop on Discord voice chat with me. I need your help packing this bowl. I don't know what the experience is going to be like. I'm very scared. I'm very intimidated by packing this bowl right now. And he helped me pack it was lemon lime. That was my first Tangiers flavor. And I packed it and I put the Provost and the coals. And the first like 5 minutes, I couldn't inhale because the smoke was so heavy, so dense. And I'm like, oh my God, this is going to give me like an asthma attack. Like, I can't inhale this. He goes, give it like 10 minutes. And then I was able to start enjoying it. And then you get the head rush and this and that. And I'm not chasing the head rush. I don't care for the head rush, but I was getting a head rush, and I was like, oh, like I must. For me, if I'm getting a head rush, that means slow down. Like I'm. You can get a head rush from blonde too if you pack it
Yeah,
in a certain
yeah,
way.
yeah.
It's telling you to slow down, And from there, I was like, oh, like I'm enjoying Tangiers. That doesn't mean from that point onwards, I slowly started smoking Tangiers. I still worked my way into it by mixing dark with blonde. And honestly, when you get comfortable with mixing and you understand, like I said, the nuances of the flavors and how to mix the flavors, the dark leaf and blonde, uh, you open a whole new world of flavor profiles and mixes that become available.
Agreed. So, what is your go-to flavor, if you have any?
From each brand, I have a little bit of a preference. So for must-have, my all-time favorite flavor is Charlotte's Pie.
Okay.
It's like a apple pie with like green apple, so it's very crisp green apple. It's tart. I like it. From Tangiers, strawberry lemonade. It's probably my favorite. From Trifecta, peppermint shakes always a
Hands down.
phenomenal flavor. Same with their horchata flavor. I love that.
What's horchata?
Um, Horchata is a Mexican drink. It's, I believe, I'm going to misquote this, but I believe it's an almond hazelnut kind of milky,
Oh,
creamy drink. Highly recommend trying Element Air Horchata. My all-time favorite mix is actually of Element. So I take Element V Line Raymonade and I mix that with Element Air lemongrass and a little bit of morose. V Line has like a Baikal, which is like a Russian drink, that pine kind of taste, but mixing that with lemongrass and morose, it's such a unique mix for me. And anyone I've ever packed it for, I think 15 to 20 people who have tried this are kind of blown away with it. And the thing is, you can smoke the dark version or the blonde version of it, so there's options on both sides. But if I were to ever have my own signature mix, it would be Raymonade, lemongrass, and morose.
that's nice. We don't get much of those brands here in India. Slowly, we have started getting international brands, but whenever they are available, I'll definitely try it out and let you know,
Absolutely.
my experience.
It's interesting to see how far India has come. Because I remember when I first started watching, I think it was Dutch who I was watching his live with Hookah Buzz and there was one more, Shisha Feed.
Shisha feed, yeah.
Yeah, so those two, and they were on a live, and I joined the live, and I started talking to them, and I was seeing, and you guys call them chillums, and you're using like still the Egyptian bowls, and not quick lights, but the bowls and the setups, and understanding what master copies were, and like how far it has come. There was a time where Dark Leaf wasn't really; it was always Afzal and Al Fakr and a few brands like that.
Still, they are
To
dominating,
then
yeah.
they always will be, right? Because the enthusiast community is very small. We
Correct.
think it's huge, but it's
It's
relatively
not,
small in the grand
yes.
scheme.
Everyone
Um,
knows everyone here, I feel.
yeah. So the watching them and just watching their story of their progression, specifically Hookah Buzz too, right? Where from when he first got his first Mason Bowl to the Ola Bowls to Tangiers must have. And I remember he was messaging me one time asking me some questions about Tangiers and must have as well. And seeing that progression of over the past, let's say 2.5 years, the progression of hookah in India is mind-boggling to me and how fast it's progressed.
Yeah. Because today, if I talk about India hookah scene, again, for the masses, it's still, the Mia pots, Mia hookahs,
Mm-hmm.
the traditional chillums, the
Yep.
clay chillums, and they still use foil and the silver coals.
tabs. Yeah.
tabs, yeah, and very less of them still uses coconut coke charcoals, wherein
Hmm.
when it comes down to enthusiasts in India, still there's a very like less amount of them, but comparatively it has grown a lot, and right now we have
Yep.
started to get good products as well. As you can see here, few of them like top of the line I
Yep.
have. I'm using alpaca bowls, stuff like that, and I'm smoking. I didn't mention, but I'm smoking. Must have orange with trifecta death by ice, trifecta
Yep.
peppermint shake, and little bit of cheesecake from must have.
Ooh, sounds like a good mix.
It is. I
Um,
was amazed with the mix. First time I'm trying this mix.
the the progression is insane. But the other thing is, I think post pandemic, everyone was starting to get setups at home, and then you get kind of put onto how do I have a good session, and you start looking up different setups. And also, like for my friends in my friend group, I'm the one. I say this with full confidence. They again, we all used to smoke quick lights and alfaker with the brown bowls and KM setups or whatever. And eventually, people got nicer hookahs, but it was when I got into discovered all these communities, and I started bringing around a provost, a lotus, and this and that. And then my friends, I was like, let me pack you a bowl and show you that if you're using 20, 30 grams of flavor, I'm using 10 to 15, and my cloud output's insane, my bowl's lasting, and I'm using a mini rook, and you're using a medium sized bowl, and you're like, how the hell are you getting like such a great performance for so long with such little flavor? And you kind of put them onto it. Now all my friends who smoke hookah, everyone's got a modern day pipe, provost, a lotus, alpaca bowls, mason bowls, whatever it may be. And now everyone's slowly, and the problem is once you kind of discover a
Yeah.
good setup, you can never go back to
No.
lounges.
Yeah.
You've ruined. I always tell people, I'm so sorry. I ruined lounges for everybody.
That's true. It happened with me also. In fact, like once I started getting into the enthusiasm of this, I've been smoking since 8 years, but it was
Mm.
always with the traditional Maya hookahs and all, whatever was available here, until I started exploring the internet for hookah.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously, for me, it was Hookah Buzz. I used to watch
Mm-hmm.
his videos and all, and then we connected. And then one fine day, I decided, ki, okay, even I'll start up a page because I have a good hand on photography as well. So I thought, okay, why
Mm-hmm.
not, try mixing photography with hookah and see what I can do. So I've started buying, the good quality hookahs, bowls.
Mm-hmm.
My first bowl was Oblaco and Oblaco
Mm-hmm.
Mono. And then after that, I was still smoking Alfaka Double Apple and along
Mm-hmm.
with that Cloud Lotus and that stuff. Once I started, getting into Oblaco and a good hookah, and I made my friends and all smoke as well. We usually, sit outside on the terrace and we smoke. Uh,
Yeah.
they are like they are not smoking anywhere else. Right now they are like
You become the designated packer. You're in charge of the hookah now. Like you have to pack the
yeah,
bowls, all that. I teach all my friends how to do it because I don't want to do it. And like when I'm once in a while, okay, I'll come up with the mix. Okay, I'll pack you a bowl. But like every time we go out, it's like you're the designated person for
yeah.
hookah now.
That's good and bad both.
It's a blessing and a curse. I agree.
Yeah. Because most of the times it's just me who's packing, and
Mm-hmm.
I get bored of my usual mixes, and I ask them what is
Mm-hmm.
that you wanna have. They'll be like, you just make whatever you want to, and we'll
I
enjoy
hate
it.
that. I'm
I
like, give me
hate
a
that
starting
too.
point. Give me one flavor that
Exactly.
you enjoy, and I can maybe mix something from that. I have a no tolerance. If I'm packing your bowl, I don't want to hear it was good. I don't want to hear it was bad. I don't care. I'm packing your bowl, smoke it. You don't want to smoke it,
Yeah,
go pack something else for
I'm
yourself. I
slowly
don't care.
getting there.
Yeah, my tolerance for people is very short now. I'm just like, I'll
Yeah.
pack you a bowl, but I don't want to hear any. It's like our parents, when they make food, you want to eat it, eat it. Don't want to eat it, go make something for yourself. Same thing with food.
Yeah.
I'll pack you your bowl, smoke it, don't smoke it. I don't care. I'm enjoying
Yeah.
my bowl.
Totally agree with that. I'm slowly getting there. I've started realizing that already.
Yeah,
So that's what
look at this.
this hookah scene is.
Yeah.
The Maya hookahs, that setup is totally a different game, and this stainless steel pipes with good
Yeah.
balls and HMDs. This is a separate game altogether. I mean, so
Hmm.
far that I have learned that, and most of my friends they agree too. But still, in India, products are very pricey due to
Hmm.
customs and imports. Also,
Hmm.
there's no direct, authorized sellers from the brand itself.
Yeah.
So, considering all that, one bowl of, let's say, Ola will cost here around 3,000 rupees. That's an average. So you will get one Maya hookah, one chillum, the
Hmm.
bowl, along with couple of flavors with that same
Hmm.
3,000 rupees. So people
Yep.
here still are, once they experience it, then only they can make a decision. But since the scene is not so vast here, there's no experience
Hmm.
stores or anything like that as well. Wherein
Yeah, I
I've
think something that's important to remember is you don't have to go all out and get the latest and greatest of everything. I need the best bowl, best this, best that. Work your way up. If you have an old pipe, okay, keep that pipe. Maybe invest in a good bowl. Invest in. Look, you can still smoke alfalfa. There's nothing wrong with these brands. Enjoy them. They make great products. Work your way up. Start experimenting slowly. It's not a cheap hobby. It can very quickly add up, but work your way up. Slowly start getting a better quality bowl. I think the best places to start is honestly with a bowl and an
bowl.
HMD
Yeah,
and coconut coals. That's for me. You can make any pipe smoke the way you wanted to smoke, even if it's a Maya or whatever. And Maya makes decent products. There's nothing wrong with them, but it's work your way up slowly, gradually invest more and more. You don't have to own 17 different types of bowls. Like, you can use a rook or a mini rook or a blocko and you'll still have a great session. But as you feel like, okay, I've got a hang of this, you can start working your way into like the lower capacity bowls and experimenting with those. Whether it be the Mason Stinger, the Ola Ade bowls, there's so many options. The Mason Helix, the gravels, there's so many options out there now. So work your way into it. You don't have to go all out. So anyone who's watching that still has like a older setup, it does not mean you have to go out and spend a crazy amount of money to buy a stimulation. Because even if you buy a stimulation, you may not know how to utilize it
yeah,
to its maximum capabilities. For me personally, I like the idea of a stimulation, or any pipe that allows you that gives you adjustable draw. But I know my draw preference, so I don't need to. I'm also not the person to play around with it. I like simple. I know what it's going to provide. I know that I have a session set up. I know what session I'm expecting, so I'm going to use that. So whether it be the Motion Future, which you have in the background, a Hoop Sub Atom, Union Sleek, Alpha X, like there's so many options out there. And now in today's market, there's so many options that are at all price ranges. You don't need to buy the latest and greatest and most expensive to have a phenomenal setup.
agreed. Right now, definitely there are like hookahs available at every price point. So
Mm.
and it's gonna grow as well in the future, because if you have seen in last like 1 year, not I'll not go back to 2 years or something like that, because I've started with 1 year.
Yeah.
One year I've seen so many launches of hookahs
Mhm.
in all the price categories. So the competition is way too high right now, is what I feel.
It's good. It's good for the consumer, right? Everyone's providing products at every price range. You can pick and choose whatever makes sense for you. And again, you can work your way up. You can slowly upgrade. There's like the future is drastically different price compared to the stimulation, and stimulation has a lot of parts and pieces that you can buy to add on to it: sleeves, purge options, so on and so forth. So for me, I started with the Shisha Bucks, and there's a phenomenal pipe. Worked my way into the Union sleeve from Unions, and slowly I started getting more and more. Go to lounges or talk to people who have those setups. Watch videos. There's so many resources out there to get people's opinion. Remind you again, if you're watching someone's and you're taking someone's opinion off the internet, take it with a grain of salt. Not everything they say is the source of truth, but take it with a grain of salt. See what's applicable. See if it matches your price range, and go from there.
Yeah, you can also approach the influencers if they are in your city or nearby. You can, if they are okay, you can go to their place, try that hookah as well. I'm open to that. I in fact invite my followers as well to try any of the setups they want to, you know, just as an enthusiast perspective, or they are willing to purchase one. So
Mm-hmm.
I am open to that. I provide that just to have a good session with also connect with the followers. So
Yeah.
you can do that as well. Feel free to ping me, come over, have a good session. I don't have any problem. I will not charge you for that also. So
It's That's probably one of the greatest things about smoking hookah. When I've been fortunate enough that I've traveled for it. I've been to Vegas. I've been to UK. especially in Canada, the other states as well, LA. And the one thing about smoking is you can do it in a group setting, and you have people from very drastic different walks of life, and you can sit down and just share a bowl together and have great conversations and talk about anything. And it's funny because when I have a chance to smoke with other enthusiasts, we very rarely talk about hookah in itself. We just talk about life and crack jokes and this and games. And hookah is only 5 minutes of the conversation. What's your favorite?
Yeah.
What do you like? Preference. But after that, it just talks about life, and
Yeah.
that's one of my favorite things. Is you can enjoy this alone or in a group setting. And in a group setting, it's meant to be. I feel like it's meant to be enjoyed in a group setting because it
Yeah.
just allows for better quality of conversation.
Yeah. It has actually become a thing here as well, wherein just set up a hookah and then talk about life, talk about things.
Mm-hmm.
So the conversation just flows. You don't have to think
Yeah,
much. So that's the best part about hookah is what I feel and agree to.
yeah. It's just one of the things I really enjoy, and that's why I travel for it. And the community when you're on Instagram or Facebook or Discord, whatever it may be, every night we all hop on Discord, on the Hookah University Discord, and we're in the voice chat, and people are playing video games or people are just talking or whatever it is. I've made so many friends online that when I met them in person, it didn't feel like it was our first time meeting in person.
Yeah.
It felt like I've known you for such a long time.
Yeah.
It's just that we
Also,
have one common thing, and that's
yeah,
the hookah.
yeah, that's the one common thing. See, even we both, you're from somewhere else, I'm from somewhere else. The common point is hookah here, and then we are having a great conversation so far. So this
Yeah,
is how it works, guys. So
yeah. Reach out. Everyone's available.
yeah. So speaking of the India scene, as you have brought it
Mm,
up, I want to know how does it looks like from the international perspective, not just from your point of view, since you have
mm.
traveled recently to I guess for the alpaca event. I've been following
Yes.
you, so I've seen you there, and you
Yeah.
have met like Regal Hookah owners and Shisha with Neve, other big
Yep.
players. So,
Yep.
did you guys have any conversation about India, or do you know like what is their perspective as well? I just want to know what is this overall scene
I
about
think people
India.
were surprised by the amount of people that enjoy hookah in India, and I think people
Oh,
forget the origins, like how the history of hookah in India. Right? When I watch exactly the first time I saw Hookah Buzz's video, there was like 150 people in the live, and I'm like, holy crap! Like everyone's asking like questions, and it kept going, and even with Shisha Feed, like just so many people, and I was like, holy crap! Like these guys have a large following, right? And I was just blown away by the amount of people that enjoy it there. I was not aware of this, that in India it is such a big thing. It is so common, and obviously that spans to even when you go to Dubai and so on and so forth, in Pakistan and all that. Like it is in that part of the world, it's huge, and the same thing goes for other places like Brazil, Spain, Germany, Russia. Like it is huge, and we don't know that because we live in our own little bubble sometimes.
exactly.
So we're not really aware of it. But when you see the hookah expos that are happening in Spain, in Germany, in Russia, in Dubai, in the States, only then are you have a glimpse into how big of a community it is,
Correct.
or it can be. So I think whenever I hang out with brand owners, whether it be Omar from Alpaca, George and Nee from Regal, whoever it may be, Nino from Mason, me and him were in the UK together. We had many sessions together there, and we quickly became friends. I'm friends with all those everyone I mentioned before. And you don't even it's not even necessarily just India. It's just globally you don't realize how big it is.
Wonderfully said. Speaking of that, uh, I have seen one of your stories wherein you enter the alpaca vault, where they
Yes,
store all the alpaca bowls.
yes.
How was it entering the vault? How was the feeling?
So I'll explain the LA trip as a whole.
Yeah.
They Omar was hosting a blind taste testing. He recently released a video where originally he
Just
was
for
gonna.
the context for the audience, could you please also
Yep,
mention who's Omar?
Omar is the owner of Alpaca,
Okay.
and he we've become friends, and he was transitioning from handmade bowls to slip cast bowls to help meet with demands. Problem was, there's not enough. When you make a handmade product, it's hard to meet the global demands of that. So he was shifting, and there was obviously a negative connotation towards slip cast bowls. So he did a blind taste testing at his storefront at Culture Shrooms in downtown LA, or sorry, Long Beach, LA, and he invited me out. He to me and a few others, two guys from the UK, Shaf from Jumeirah Gardens, Kasim from Kaka's Hookah, Matt from Morning Hookah. He flew us all out, and we went there, and we did a blind taste testing. So I was fortunate enough that I got a chance to go into the back and see where all the bowls are made. We even did a pottery class with one of his bowl makers, just throw some clay down and
Wow.
all that fun stuff. So it was cool to go and see that process of how they're made, and being in that room with all the different colors and the styles and some very rare exclusive stuff that's never seen the internet. Like it was cool to get a chance to see that. He did the blind taste testing where behind each veil there was, I think, four or five regals set up, and those different bowls, some slip cast, some handmade, and with the lotus on top. And we did a blind taste test and see, and very few people. Actually, I don't think I was talking to him about the results, and people couldn't tell the difference between the slip cast and the handmade. Due to the negative connotation, he has recently released a video where they're just going to go back to making handmade bowls.
Yeah, I've seen
And
that.
I'm a fan of that. But again, even with handmade bowls, you can run into, because it's handmade, there's no guarantee of consistency either.
Yeah,
And you see that whether it be Mason products or anyone who makes a handmade bowl, you can try, but there's always going to be variance, right? Everything becomes a one of one, for lack of better
yeah.
words. So um, it was a cool experience to go out there. I met with Hookah John. I met with the owners of Hookah Vault, Coco Superior Coco, a variety of different people from the industry were all there, and it was not even about the blind taste testing. It was able to, like, we took the sidewalk, we put furniture outside, and we all just smoked together and just talked and had some drinks, and it was a good time. It was just phenomenal. So yeah, the alpaca event was really cool. I was very shout outs to Omar for helping me get out there and inviting me out there. Him and Neve both invited me out to go check it out, and I was fortunate enough that I was able to bring one or two followers to also come and
Wow.
try it with me. So that was a phenomenal experience. But yeah,
Did you
I actually got
also?
something from the event. I'll show you.
Yeah,
Let me. This little says Tangiers on it,
Tangiers. Yeah.
but a alpaca shot glass.
Oh, nice. It's so
Yeah,
beautiful.
so a little souvenir.
Yeah. Did you also make your own ball there?
We didn't make bowls, just because trade secrets and stuff like that. But we did get a chance to do some pottery. So some people made like bigger, just regular like plain bowls and some other stuff like that. I helped film some of that stuff, but I didn't. He gave me the shot glass as a like a memento.
Yeah. That's nice. So, one of our experience.
It was phenomenal. Again, not even the blind taste testing event, but just being able to spend time with people in the community, other enthusiasts. Everyone's so chill. Everyone has a great personality. So, and when you have a shared thing, like we said earlier with hookah, you can just have great conversations around it.
Yeah. How was Shaq? What was his mix, if you remember, and how was the
Shaf,
mix?
Shaf,
Chef.
uh, he made a. Oh, we were all at an Airbnb together. Me, Shaf, Kakas, and Matt. And Matt brought me a bunch of WTO and some Azure to try out. One of the standout flavors from Azure that I got to try was chestnut,
Okay.
and it was phenomenal. What a
Damn,
flavor!
I can't even imagine like how that might have
It,
tasted.
it's accurate, but it's very almost like buttery.
Oh,
And you mix that with like orange and from Azure. I forget the name of the flavor itself, but it was an orange from Azure. And he also brought WTO. WTO makes some really rare flavors. They have like a chili flavor, a basil flavor. Like there's levels to mixing. There's regular mixology, which is simply you take alfalfa,
yeah.
blueberry, and orange, you mix it. But then there's gastronomy mixing, which is like you
Oh,
get into like flavor profiles, and like chefs, and you can come up with some really crazy flavors. Um, an example of that would be Paul from Hookah University gave me a really good mix. And what you do is you take an alpaca suri bowl and you dense pack tangiers on the bottom, and then it's a layered pack essentially. You put tangiers on the bottom, dense, and then you can drop must have on top. So the mix
Oh,
was cane mint, maraschino cherry, and must have pistachio. And you mix that cherry with that pistachio, and the reason the layered pack works so well is because Tangiers is a low heat and Must Have isn't. So you can fluff Must Have on the top, and initially the Must Have will start to cook, but then as the bowl starts to warm up, the Tangier starts to come out, and it blends beautifully. I don't like dumping flavors out and getting my hands dirty. I like just section packing and smoking, and that's enough for me. But when you do a layered pack, it is almost the same set as dumping it out, mixing it up, and putting it back in the bowl. But because these two brands have very drastic pack methods, one is fluffed and one is densed,
yeah.
layering it, even if you take Tangiers and you layer pack Tangiers, it still works so well. So for me, whenever I smoke must have, I like to dense pack cane mint at the bottom and then throw my must have mix on top. And then as the bowl starts to heat up, the cane mint slowly starts to come
Slowly
out. And
kicks in,
it's
yeah.
such a beautiful blend. It works so well. But there, like I was saying earlier, there's levels to the gastronomy aspect of it. Shaft packed a variety of different mixes. He loves packing dense and he loves putting a lotus on there. He smokes a little bit hotter. I can't handle that hotness personally, but 15, 20 minutes into the bowl, I'm able to finally enjoy it. When I was in the UK at the end of August, I got a chance to go to Shaft's Lounge, and his mixes are insane. Him and Mad Shisha UK and all those guys, they make some phenomenal mixes. My also Adam from Shisha Central, who owns Maverick Lounge, phenomenal mixes. I go there and I say, actually, any lounge I went to, they'll ask me. They have like so many flavors. It's very it's easy to become overwhelmed with it. So I'll say, okay, I like citrus, I like cooling. Can you make me something with that? And every bowl I had, every single bowl slapped. It was so good.
That's wonderful. Because here we don't get to experience such mixes, especially in lounges. The lounge scene is very meh here.
Same
Be-
here. It's all a Fakr and a Dahlia.
yeah, not even Adalia, Alfakar and Afzal, and then there are
Mm,
Indian brands too, like
mm,
Royal Smoking, and I don't know. There are few more. So
mm.
they have pretty standard menu everywhere. It's like grape mint, orange mint, uh,
Yeah, I
pan,
get it.
pan
Yeah.
with mint, kiwi
The
pan.
worst is when you get a pipe that hasn't been cleaned properly and it just stains a pawn or double apple. And I'm like, I ordered orange mint, but there's this aftertaste, and it's disgusting. I My friends smoke pawn and alpha and double apple. I have nothing against pawn and double apple. It's just not my preference. And every time I like try their pipe, oh, I cleaned it. Deep cleaned it. This that. There's always just that little bit, and because
Yeah,
like I can obviously my taste palate is pretty good, so like, I can always pick up on a little bit. And I'm like, brother, you stay in this.
yeah.
And I was actually on a live recently with Shisha Feed, and I asked him, you're smoking out of your stimulation, you're smoking on, or I think it was double apple from Upzo. I was like, how do you get rid of the smell? And one of the things he said is you take some vinegar, lemon juice, and you rinse it out with that, and then you dish soap and hot water, and you work your way through it, and it should purge it of any smell or left back taste. But for me, man, no matter how much you clean it, I'm always gonna pick up on a little bit.
So coming down to cleaning, actually, I'm little more aggressive when it comes to cleaning, because even I have similar thing that you have just mentioned, that even I pick up very minute different flavor as well if I try it out. So what I do is basically I ensure that I don't use vinegar and stuff to clean, but regular
Mm-hmm.
water and dishwasher soap. And what I do is I ensure the threads where you tighten everything, like the bowl port and the down
Yeah,
stem, even the hose, if it is like removable.
yeah,
I ensure all the threads are clean, because I feel major the flavor and the liquid stays here as well. I've noticed that.
that's a good point. Yeah,
Yeah, so if you clean that, then there's no ghosting at all.
yeah, I agree. I think again, it's just all the tiny details, right? Fully cleaning it, making sure you properly deep clean it. And
Yeah.
I know a lot of the people, a lot of enthusiasts, where they have like a dedicated day where they like wash all their pipes, all their bowls, all their pipe, like everything, disassemble, soak it in water, so on and so forth. Don't cut any shortcuts. Don't half-ass it. Do it properly if you're going to do it.
Yeah.
Rinsing it with water is not enough. Oh, here's a cool thing. If you have a stain and you don't have, like, some bases are very weirdly shaped, or you even with the, you're not able to get certain corners. If you take salt, plain table salt, a lot of it, dump that in the bowl, and then you take rubbing alcohol, and you drop just a little bit in there. It becomes, you can swirl it around, and that will help clear all the little corners of the base where flavors kind of get stuck, or it might get like moldy or whatever it may be.
Yeah.
It helps clean that, and then you can rinse it with hot water and dish soap. But because the alcohol doesn't dissolve the salt right away, it makes it like a little bit of a slush, and because the salt is so fine, it rubs it, and without scratching the glass.
Oh, nice.
So
Thanks for the tip,
for
bro. Because I'm
yeah,
having a really hard time cleaning my that tree base because
yeah,
the this one because this
yeah,
part is so narrow that no matter what brush I use, it just doesn't goes
mm,
in. And as you can see, it is already it has
yeah. It's
got the
fogged up.
fogged up. So thanks for that. I'll try it out and let you know.
Yeah,
I would like to know what do you see in terms of hookah, like what is next thing? I know the electronic HMD and all is already in the
yeah,
testing phase, but apart from that, what do you think? Because stimulation also has reached peaks, is what in my opinion I think.
yeah. In terms of like innovation, I think stimulation kind of checks a lot of those boxes. The problem was that they released everything so quickly. The Pro X, Pro X1, Pro X2,
Yeah,
Pro X3, and the Ultimate. They're all like a year apart. Um, whether it be I was fortunate enough, I got to try the Aeon Launch 5. I've tried the simulations. I've tried a variety of different products, and I think in terms of innovation, it's kind of maxed out right now. There's not much out that really catches my eye, especially post last year's Shisha Messe, where they announced the Launch 5 and so on and so forth. Now it's kind of just down to preference again, how many purge options you want, or do you want to be able to adjust the draw? How do you want to adjust the draw, whether it be with a magnet or a dial where you twist it? I think stimulation does a really good job, especially when you get like the ability to swap between the bases. So you can add a different adapter to the bottom, so you can use any base you want or a stimulation base that locks into it. Um, I think in terms of what's next, like you said with the electronic HMD, I think Hookah Monk makes one right now. I had a chance to see some in person. I haven't had a chance to try them in person yet, but I think my opinion is we can chill on the innovation. I think we've done that. I think it's more so just educating people on, not even educating. I don't like the word educating, but more so just putting people onto better sessions, right? Like we said, there's a huge community that has no idea of the levels you can get hookah to. And I think more so on brands focusing on that, and then obviously new flavors, right? So Must Have is constantly coming out with different flavors. Tangiers is coming out with different flavors. Alfakar, Trifecta. Like I just love when brands experiment and try new things. Uh, I have a methodology, the thought process that if you're gonna fail, fail fast, but continue to put new products out and see what sticks and what works out, and then you work from there. Take that feedback, move forward accordingly. So I think in terms of innovation and what's next, I don't know. I have no idea. I know there's collabs coming out, and I love the idea of collabs. Ola's
yeah,
doing a
me
collab
too.
with Cloud. Cloud and Alpaca did a collab. I like that bowl. Alpaca or Cloud is slowly transitioning into the ceramic space too. I'm a big fan of that. I'm friends with the owner of Cloud, Reza. He's such a dope human being. The Cloudsinthe6ix, the thermal diffusers. Have you seen those?
Yeah, I've seen
So
those.
using those in the bowls, uh, Lotus 3, the different HMDs that are coming out. There's so many things out there right now and I feel like a lot of it has come out in mass and very quickly, but it hasn't fully settled in. I don't think people have really been
Yeah,
able to fully form their opinions on it, because again, as enthusiasts, we find what we like and we kind of stick with it for a little bit, whether it be a mix, a pipe. If you have a certain mix, you smoke it for like a week straight before you get sick and tired of it. So it's hard to say that we have. I would rather pose the question as, have we tested everything and formed our opinions on everything that's in the market right now? I don't think so. So, in terms of innovation, I don't think anything really catches my eye right now. Personally, I'm a big fan of integrated molasses catchers in hookah. So, like the VZ Custom Mini has that integrated molasses catcher. I like ideas like that. Even the Aeon Lounge 5 has an integrated molasses catcher. So, for me, I
I
think
have a
that,
question here for the
yeah,
molasses catcher. Do you think
mm,
it affects the draw?
yes. So I have oddly enough, I have a Keto Sun molasses catcher, and I think, let me take this out. It's brand new.
Oh, you haven't used it?
No, I got this for a friend.
Okay.
So this, like when you're using an eggy bowl or traditional bowl, obviously something like Must Have, it drips. It goes down the spire into the base. I hate that. So the molasses catcher, let me just open it. So that's the inside. Okay, that's the bottom. So there's little slits inside here. So it adds such a minute draw, like restriction. Um, and this is a Keto Sun. This is from China. It's not anything special. You can unscrew the top, right? It's easy to clean out. It adds such a minimal draw. I think you can really. There's so many things that can affect the draw. Hole pattern on the foil, HMD you use, how you pack the flavor, whether you pack over all the holes or you open some of the holes up and do like a funnel style in an eggy bowl. There's so many variations. Obviously with the pipes as well. Like I said, you can adjust the draw. But I think to answer your question, yes, it adds a restriction. For the average smoker, would they notice that restriction? Maybe, maybe not. I think it's more so how the bowl was packed than the actual molasses
Okay.
catcher.
Yeah, I guess that's the accurate answer to my question.
That's my politically correct answer. Let me ask you a question.
Sure.
With everything that's available on the market right now, if you were to create your ideal slash dream Frankenstein style, where you can take pieces from this hookah, pieces from that hookah, and mix it together, what would that hookah look like?
Wow. Okay.
I'll start to give you some time to think about it because I know it's a little bit of a hefty question.
Yeah, it
So
is.
for me personally, I would take a stimulation base and a stimulation downstem. I like the way that it's adjustable. I like the look of it. I like the lock-in feature. And if I wasn't going to take a stimulation base, then I'll take an Aeon Lounge 4 base. I love the glass. I love the way it looks. My downstem, like I said, would be the stimulation. My heart would be from the Hoop Go. I love the open draw of that. The up stem would be from the Midas Foggy, that mist kind of purge. The tray would be a Regal Crown tray. I like that the coals don't fly off of it and it
That's the
looks
best
cool.
tray so far.
My bowl port, I would want a bowl port that is modular. So when you twist it, it expands. When you twist it the other way, it narrows,
Wow.
almost minimizing the need for grommets. So it fits on any bowl. I have some bowls that have a huge bowl port and some that have a very narrow bowl port. So
Yeah.
you have to have a variety of different types of grommets. So I would have an adjustable, and then obviously I'll take a Mason Timber as my handle, and that would probably be my Frankenstein dream hookah.
Wonderful. What I would do is basically I'll take the hoop subatom, the base, because my idea is basically to make a mid-size hookah which I can travel as well, not just restrict to one
Yeah.
geospace. So I'll take hoop subatom, make it a little bigger if that's
Mm-hmm.
possible, because I
Yeah, they have
feel
the
this
atom.
is not as big as atom, but in
Okay, just
between.
somewhere in the middle. Okay.
Yeah, somewhere in middle, and I would put a fancy draw, fancy purge, like how you have told, with
Yeah.
multiple options, obviously.
So like
I,
the Viral Spectre.
yeah, like Virospector, but not as crazy as Virospector.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I
but
hate the double tray. I hate
yeah,
the double.
it makes no
Can't
sense.
put a hole on it.
Yeah,
But I love the waterfall purge, but I hate the double tray.
double tray. Yeah, so that would be my the purge draw. I hands down I love the draw of this El Bomber Igla. I
Okay.
I gravitate to this draw a lot. It is not too open, not too restricted. It's very
Mm.
neutral. Uh, Again, a ball port and all, I have not thought about that much. So I'll go with the regular one. So
Yeah, that's fine.
that would be my take on that. And hose handle again, I want since I'm making it a travel come go
Yeah, it's
to
something that
hookah.
can disassemble.
Yeah,
Yeah, I mean, you can disassemble the timber. All three parts can come apart. This is with O-rings, but if you take the mouthpiece like this, it's
okay,
modular, right? So you can swap them out. But that's fair. No, I get that.
yeah, that's
So
my
something
take.
for you, it's all about again the functionality, practicality of it, being able to travel with it. That's your dream hookah. You want a dream travel hookah.
Yeah,
Okay, okay, fair.
but
I love
again,
that.
but again, I feel you just can't stick with one hookah. Is that the
I
case
mean, you
with you as
can
well?
if you like if you get a stimulation or something like that. Obviously, it checks all the boxes for the most part, right?
It
From all
does.
the
See, I
settings.
have a stimulation, but it's just lying around. I'm using ICLA. The reason,
That's what's mind blowing because if think about it, the you can technically set the stimulation to have the draw of the L bomber,
yeah,
right?
I
But
can.
how often are you willing? Most people they like the idea of having all the options, but are you willing to spend the time to play with the settings enough to dial it in to the point where it matches the draw you like? Most people don't even know what draw they want.
Yeah. But then the reason why I'm not choosing stimulation much is because it has a lot of parts, according to me.
Yeah,
So cleaning is a
yeah.
hassle for stimulation.
Same thing with the Spectre, man. Same thing with the Spectre. There's so many
Yeah. Oh
magnetic
my God.
parts. I disassembled it and I almost forgot how to reassemble it. In all the videos, I overly disassembled it, like more
The
than what it comes in the packaging.
the very same reason why I sold my Spectre was it has too
Mm,
many parts.
yeah,
Especially the confusion wherein where to put what.
yeah. And it's magnetic. It doesn't even screw in, and like you can
Yeah.
screw it in 3 or 4 different ways, and you're like, I don't know which piece goes where. But that's also why I love the sub atom. It's so easy to maintain. It's so easy to clean.
Yeah.
There's only the downstem. That is it. The downstem and the top, the bowl port. That's the only thing that
That's it.
screws in. After that, it's good.
Yeah. Again, one of the reason why I bought a subatom as well. It's so practical. Also,
People are blown away by the draw. People don't expect a draw. Like it's not. It is an open draw,
yeah, it
but
is an open.
for that size, like it's pretty decent.
Yeah.
You get a little bit of restriction. It's like very minimal. Like on a
Yeah.
1 to 10 scale, one being breathing and 10 being like you can't inhale at all. It's like a 2 or 3. I think the Viro one is like a 1 on the
One.
open,
Yeah, that's
but
way too
also the
open.
Viro one is not user friendly. You can overly if you don't put the water level properly, you can flood the bowl. You can just purging it too hard, you'll flood the bowl.
Yeah.
It's not a user friendly, but that's again, I can go about the Subatom
Yeah.
forever. It's my favorite. Everyone knows I'm a Subatom kind of guy. It's my daily use. I own 2 of them, so like that says enough.
Yeah. So usually, how longer are your sessions?
Uh, hour 40, 2 hours plus depends on the bowl. Depends what I'm smoking. If I'm
Okay.
using my Mason Stinger, which I'm a big fan of, um, which is this one, small bowl, good for trying out mixes. But sometimes I'm sitting here all day. I don't want to sit here more for 2 hours. So or longer than 2 hours. So for me personally, I don't want to drop anything here, so I'm very careful. My Stinger, I can get a 2 hour session out of it, but sometimes I only want to smoke an hour 40. Sometimes I don't even light a second round of coals. I just 26s finish it. Yeah, I'm not burning the flavor to a crisp, but for me, that's the other thing is like I watch someone like Hookah Buzz and I see his videos and he's like the donuts and this and like all the flavors. I'm like I can never get to that point. It's
Yeah.
by that point what are you, like I for me personally the flavor is dead way before that gets to that point. Also, he might be smoking a lot harder than I smoke.
Yeah.
So for me, I whenever I clean the bowl, yeah, there's at the very bottom sometimes there's a little bit of flavor, but for me, I'm like I've got my hour 40, 2 hour session. I'm happy.
I'm same kind of guy. I like my sessions to be like 1 to 1.5 hours. Beyond that,
Yeah,
I don't enjoy it much. I mean, I'm like
mm,
I'm done. I'm
yeah,
satisfied, bro. So
yeah. You've checked. I've done what I wanted to do. I had a great session. Class. Move on to the next thing.
the tiring part of it is cleaning. I feel.
I've gotten pretty good with the cleaning. You have a sponge ready. You wait for the bowl to cool down. Cool down. Also, pro tip for anyone who's smoking: don't wash your hot bowls under water. You can crack it, and it leads to the micro fractures, and eventually you'll crack the bowl. Uh, Putting something that's super hot, even your Provost or your Lotus, I don't agree with running it under cold water. Let it cool down naturally. Yeah, it takes more time, but it will last longer. You're not going to warp it in any shape way. So, just food for thought for anybody who's watching. Don't take your hot products and run them under cold water because you're impatient. Be patient. It's going to last you a lot longer. And most of the stuff you're buying is not cheap. So,
Not cheap at all.
take your time with it.
Okay, so let's move on to the next one. This is my favorite. I asked everyone, and I made this a thing of this sinful podcast to ask everyone whoever comes on this podcast. Have you watched Endgame?
Yeah, Avengers.
Avengers Endgame, yeah.
Yep,
You have seen the Thanos scene wherein he has done everything, and then he
yep,
goes, he's doing like his thing now.
yep.
So let's say you are in that place, okay, and you just have to take one hookah, one bowl, and one HMD.
Mm.
What will be your choices?
I'm going to take the VZ Custom Mini. I'm going to take a Alpaca Mini Rook and a Provost.
Nice.
Yeah, the Mini Rook allows me to. It's one of the more versatile bowls. I can play. It gives me enough space to get. I can pack dense. I can fluff. I can have a good session out of it. Provost, because you can put that on any flavor and you'll be fine. And then the VZ, just because I love the draw. I love the integrated molasses catcher. I love the way it looks. It's small enough to travel with. It's heavy enough that I don't have to worry about knocking it over. So, yeah, that would be my doomsday setup.
Wonderful.
You?
No, I've not decided on that. No one has asked me yet. You're the first one.
Well, here we are now.
Yeah. Me, I would take subatom because it's not glass. It will not break. The draw is
Mhm.
perfect for me. Uh, Easy to clean again. For those reasons, subatom. I would take for the ball. It's kind of tricky, but I like the Sakis ball a lot.
Okay.
So I'll take that probably, but it's too fragile for my, in my experience. But yeah, I'll take that. I'll take the risk, and I'll
Okay.
go with Lotus because for me, what happens is I'm still not a pro at Provost because I
Mm-hmm.
mess up the holes, and that ruins the entire session for me because it becomes too open. So until I
Okay.
practice Provost a lot and master it, I can't say that. But right now in this timeline, at this point, I'll take the Lotus
Mm.
because it's the easiest.
One plus.
Yeah, one plus.
What color?
The silver one
Okay.
because the other colors they just scratch up and fade off. I don't like
Fair.
that.
Okay.
So for the audience and for me also, because this is the first
Mm.
time that we are having a one-to-one conversation, I want to
Yep.
know, from where you have born, what do you do, how did you get into Canada,
Sure. So I'm an
everything.
international drug dealer. I'm kidding. I was I
That's
was
a good
born in New
start.
Delhi, India. I was born in New Delhi, India. I came to Canada in '96, and I was raised here. Uh, my family. I'm originally an Afghan Sikh, so my family's from Afghanistan. Um, I am a social media manager, so I work for an advertising agency, and I run the paid ads for different brands on social media. I've been doing that for around 6 years. Prior to that, I've worked many different jobs. I was a dog trainer for 2 years.
Wow,
I've worked in many different fields, sales, and so on and so forth. Yeah, that's about it, really.
nice.
Yeah, I turned 30 this year,
Oh,
so
high
I'm
five
excited
to
for that.
turning 30s because even I have turned 30 this year.
Yeah, so it's my back already feels like it's 50, but that's fine. We'll work our way through that. Um,
And
my
what are your hobbies? Like, what do you do in your free time apart from
hobbies.
hookah?
I love anime. I love watching anime. I like being outdoors, camping, things like that. I love spending time in nature while going on trails, walks, taking my dog with me. I have a 7-year-old German Shepherd, Australian Shepherd mix. She's my daughter. I have no baby mama, no child support. So, the struggle is real, but that's fine. This is her.
Oh, nice. She's
Yeah, her
cute.
name is Roxy. She is a lovely dog. But yeah, that hobbies. That's sneakers. I love collecting things. I'm a big collector of things, whether it be cause figures or sneakers. All the Funko Pops in the corner over there are anime related Funko Pops. I love collecting things. I have like Nintendo amiibo
Oh,
figurines and things like that. I'm the kind of guy who you can talk about almost anything, whether it be art, music, whatever. I can carry a conversation about almost anything. So yeah, that's pretty much it, really. But I would say I love coffee. I'm a big enthusiast, coffee
oh,
enthusiast
are
as
you?
well. Yeah, I love a good cup of coffee. And my favorite food would be
What
Thai
would be?
and
Sorry to
sushi.
interrupt.
No,
Okay,
no,
yeah,
it's fine.
yeah.
Japanese and Thai food.
Not Chinese.
I don't like Chinese. I've had so much of it growing up as a kid, especially Hakka Chinese food with the Indian Indo fusion Chinese food. I've had so much that I'm sick and tired of it.
Okay. So, talking about coffee, what is your
Mm.
go-to brewing method?
There's a few. So at home, we have like the Keurig K cup. That's fine. Gets the job done in the morning. I have a French press. I love a good latte. So if I had the machine to grind my own beans and pour a shot of espresso and make my own latte, I would. My favorite drink is either a London Fog, it's a tea drink, or a latte. Shout outs to Noir Lounge, my local lounge. They make some of the best coffee, which
Oh.
and London Fog. So shout out to those guys.
Again, coming down to coffee, I feel it's very similar to hookah because there are
Yep.
like again so many permutations, combinations, and it comes down to
And
your
I mean,
personal.
it goes for almost anything, right? Anything you find that you enjoy, there's levels to it that you may not be aware of, right? For some people, when they watch those YouTube videos or shorts or TikToks of people making those really, they have all the fancy tools to make a latte, and you go like, that's so much time. Like, what the hell? Like, who's going to spend 15 minutes making a cup of coffee in the morning? When you appreciate something that much, the time doesn't register. How long does it take to pack a bowl? Yeah, you can throw a bowl together really quickly, but when you spend your time smelling your flavors, coming up with a unique mix or new mix, and you take your time packing it. Sometimes my favorite thing about packing a bowl is just taking a poker and playing with the leaves, like the flavor. I just enjoy that, cleaning the bowl up, making it look really clean, and I'm like, I love this. It's a hobby, right? So,
Yeah,
for someone who likes to build Gundams or read manga or whatever it may be, or making coffee, there's so many ways to do it, and now with the internet and TikTok and YouTube Shorts and all that, we're exposed to so much more
yeah.
that we weren't aware of, and then you just slowly start practicing these things. I'm not saying go out and go buy the most expensive coffee maker and the most expensive beans and all this. You still might not be able to make a good cup of coffee. So whatever works, but it's discovering your new preferences and new styles and experimenting and trying new things.
Do you like believe in putting anything else apart from water in the base?
No, I think anybody who does anything else that's not a good idea. From milk to crushed mint powder to linata, whatever it is, don't put anything in your base, just water. People forget the science behind hookah, right? So let's say you're putting milk, you are heating the milk up in the base because you're pulling down steam. What do you think is gonna happen to the particles? You're gonna get bacteria in places you didn't know bacteria can build. It's disgusting. Don't put. And if you go like, oh, I got bigger clouds, brother, pack properly, heat manage properly. You'll get big clouds anyways. Like the fact that people are putting milk in the base is disgusting to me. I no, thank you. I'd rather eat caramel than smoke milk out of a base.
And here in India, there's a trend going on right now wherein people are putting alcohol, different types of alcohol in it. And
That's
then they're like,
stupid, man.
bro,
Even in
alcohol
Vegas,
hookah is the next shit, bro. You should try it
no,
out. I'm like, rather
the
drink
mock
that
crab,
alcohol.
the mock crab.
All right, so that was the podcast for today. I want to know, how did you find the podcast, and what is your take on this podcast? How did you feel being on the podcast?
Great experience. I'm not just saying that for the sake of saying that. It's easy to have conversations. I think the conversations were great. I think the only challenge you face is having continuously creative conversations when something around hookah is pretty straightforward. Um, it's more so understanding people's preferences and what they like, and how they got to where they are in that aspect. How did they discover their preferences? So for me, thank you again so much for having me on the show. I really really appreciate it. Looking forward to future episodes and watching them as well. I think this is a great idea. I love your setup. I love everything about it. The aesthetics, like I said earlier, immaculate. So, yeah, thank you so much.